Are you able to do a voice for Creepy Santa? This question directed towards
for Creepy Santa.
Kendra Miller, McMillan, Patrick Taylor, or Strange and Flex from Josh Shute.
I'm not going to do a voice for Creepy Santa, but you know who can is Jay Croucher.
Yeah.
Because he's got a foreign accent, and that's off-putting to some people. That's what the market research says.
The thing is do you go deep-throated actual Santa? Because to me, that is so terrifying. It's more of a Chucky. It's more of a
Kendra Miller.
What you got, Santa?
I would go Brenton Strange. Flex, because I like to get strange.
Fantasy Football Pregame with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
You thought you'd seen and heard it all here on Fantasy Football Pregame until Creepy Santa made its appearance.
one of the great hand grenades from Matthew Berry.
Yeah.
Oh, my friend Jay Croucher can do Creepy Santa voices.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Leadership.
Who needs enemies when you got friends like this? Matthew Berry, George Savaricas, Jay Croucher, Lawrence Jackson, getting you ready for Championship Sunday here in the world of fantasy football. And we have some odd matchups, to say the least, as we're getting late in the season. Aside from Creepy Santa, Jay, what's your storyline for Week 17?
My storyline is Lawrence Jackson's man, Michael Penix Jr., under the bright lights of Sunday Night Football here on NBC and Peacock. What's he going to look like in primetime against the Washington offense? I thought he looked good against the Giants. He made the throws. He didn't have to do a ton, though, and it was a fairly easy matchup. And now going against the Commanders, who also not an amazing defense, but probably a step up from the Giants. What is he going to look like? Because he's going to have to do more to go blow for blow with Jaden Daniels.
They get Jonathan Allen back on the defensive line tonight, which will be helpful. Also, it might be rainy, might not be great weather tonight in Washington. So, yeah, be interesting to see. Why is your Lamar for MVP T-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever that is, pink?
Look at our set right now.
I understand. I'm just
Stands out.
It's a holiday shirt,
I
you
know.
know.
But you didn't want to go with like purple or black or
Nah,
Ravens colors?
that's what everybody else would do. That's not me.
Everyone
like
knows
this.
the third MVP is pink.
Yeah, I like this shirt. They get you ready for Valentine's Day, fellas. If you want to get you a Valentine's Day date, wear you a shirt like this,
That's true.
color that says Lamar.
You tried to
Find you a Valentine that looks at you the way Lawrence looks at Lamar. Yeah,
the way
for
that
sure.
I look at Lamar's odds for MVP.
Ooh,
Tasty.
There we go.
There we go.
What's your storyline this week, Lawrence?
So look, fantasy championship weekend. Which one of these waiver wire running backs is going to step up today? Like, we're starting guys like Alexander Madison, Kendra Miller. Some might even go to Raheem Blackshear. Oh, you don't know who that is? I'll tell you. That's one of the Panthers' backup running backs, because unfortunately Chuba Hubbard will not play this week. But then another guy, Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard is out. So which one of these guys off the waiver wire could come in here, give you double-digit fantasy points for your fantasy championship?
That's how you know you're getting late in the year. Which of these backup Panther running backs could be your key to
Mike
it?
Boone, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have something to say today.
You never know. He could make a name for himself and live on in fantasy football lore. What's top of mind for you, Matthew?
What's top of mind for me is this is the worst championship week ever. I mean, and honestly, and how do you navigate it? Because it's so weird. As we enter today, there have been 5 different games. 10 different teams have played. Right? And so you had 3 yesterday. You had 2 on Wednesday. Like, the week started on a Wednesday, which that shouldn't happen. The week starts on a Wednesday, and then we've got a Thursday night game, and I'm using game very loosely. It was a very loose definition of the word game. And then, of course, 3 games yesterday. And so here we are, 6 games, 12 teams already done as you head into Championship Sunday. And there's a chance, and I know there's a chance because this happened to me, that maybe you started Nico Collins. Or you're in some godforsaken league where they still play kickers despite you railing against this for years and years and years, and you had to start Kaimi Fairbairn, and he got a 0.
That was me. That was me.
Brutal, right?
Yeah.
And he does nothing. Joe Mixon does nothing. The Steelers didn't really do anything. Right? Pacheco does nothing. Then you move on to Thursday night. No one in that game does anything. Charbonnet doesn't do anything. Gino's brutal. Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, they're all terrible. And then yesterday, of course, on the Saturday games, Cooper Kupp does nothing. James Conner does nothing. Hunter Henry, who's the leading receiver of the Patriots, gets a 0. Drake May decides he hates Hunter Henry in Week 17. going up against a Chargers defense that was top 10 in most fantasy points allowed to opposing tight ends. Not that I started Hunter Henry in a championship where I also have Cooper Kupp. Thanks. And so, yeah, that's what happens. You know what I mean? So that's my storyline is how do you navigate all these disappointing, there's a chance that you are heading into today down big because somebody you were playing had Lamar, had Joe Burrow, had T. Higgins, somebody like that just absolutely went off. Bo Nix had a big game, right? And so that's how do you navigate that? And we are going to spend the next 2 hours trying to tell you exactly what to do. But that's my storyline here is it's just worst championship week ever. People find themselves in bigger holes or bigger positives, I guess, than they normally would be going into a Sunday morning.
It's been so bad. People in one of my leagues were saying we should move the championship up to week 16. Which in years past, we've seen more players that got rest because either divisions were clinched or playoff position was locked in. This year, it's just been more poor performance versus big names on the sideline.
Well, no, but I actually I think it's both, right? Because George is not only the all these big name performers, the Nico Collins of the world just not showing up, right? But it's also the fact like, oh wait, what do you mean I don't have CeeDee Lamb this week? What do you mean I don't have Chuba Hubbard this week? Right, Jalen Richard,
everything
Jalen Hurts,
was like all of a sudden too.
Right, I mean, like
all
some of these we expected, right? I don't want to say we expected, but we saw Hurts. We thought this was a possibility. Richardson's been banged up all week, but Hubbard came out of nowhere. Pollard looked like he was gonna play. That's done. CeeDee Lamb sort of came out of nowhere. David Njoku played last week. He's been dealing with some injuries, but he played last week, and now Njoku's out. I mean, so it's just like yeah. I mean. My dynasty league that I've been building for 3 years, Cooper Kupp, Hunter Henry, Chris McCaffrey, Stephon Diggs.
You got some moves to make, boss.
Oh, dude. And Chuba Hubbard. Yeah. Chuba Hubbard. And I'm playing against a guy that's got Henry and Lamar. I got my work cut out for me.
Mike Boone.
I'll tell you what, I'm going against Lamar in the championship, and I'm actually thankful I went against him, right? Because he stopped playing football like midway through the third quarter, so it could have been worse for me.
Much worse. I agree.
So from that end, like if you go against somebody like that or somebody, if you went up against somebody in the Bears and Seahawks game, like you're loving that. You're not loving it if you had them, though.
I say with the Chubbler, Chuba Hubbard, who we won't get to talk about much anymore, who's the last player whose final play of the season was scoring a game-winning touchdown, and they just immediately go on IR? What is that?
So weird. And by the way, one of the nominees when we get to the Peacockies in the new year, he's going to be one of the nominees for fantasy MVP because based on his production and where he went in the drafts, he was drafted in the mid to late rounds. People thought Jonathan Brooks was going to be back week 3 or 4, and it's the Panthers. How good could he be? So he's a committee back on a bad team. They clearly don't believe in him because they drafted Jonathan Brooks on day 2, and so Chuba Hubbard, the Chubbler, unbelievable up until week 17 when we all need him.
Yeah.
Where are you, Chuba? So
on IR.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly where I'm at.
Anyway, so I think is a massive storyline, George.
Yeah, and playoff, what you said. It's been a disappointing championship week so far, but you never know who could emerge today. Will it be a Mike Boone or a Raheem Blackshear type? Is it going to be a fantasy stud all year like a Josh Allen who balls out? Or is it just going to be one of these matchups that could be like what we saw with Lions-Bills that was 48-42, or Bills-Rams that was 44-42. I think the one game that could lead a lot of people to a fantasy championship is going to be Vikings-Packers. The first time these two teams played, it was 31-29. You had a total game score of 60. I think it could approach or exceed that, where if you're going up against a team that has 2 or 3 guys on the Packers or Vikings, those could be the players that bail you out. But it's always fun to look back on week 17. Is it going to be some under-the-radar guy, or is it going to be a horse you've been riding all year that leads you to a fantasy championship?
And I got a name for you. That's going to be on that list. You want me to give it to you right now? Chig Okonkwo. Chig Okonkwo is going to help people win fantasy championships this week, and I'll tell you why. And I'm speaking specifically about one particular league, and that league is this league, the League of Assholes. Because
here we
I
go.
am playing Big Show, and I want you to notice there. Look at Big Show's team. He's got George Kittle. He's got Jonnu Smith. You're like, wow, Big Show is loaded at tight ends. And then you go to his bench, he's got Noah Gray. Well, you know what? When I lost David Njoku, I went to the waiver wire to find a tight end, trying to claim Zach Ertz. And you know what I noticed? Big Show grabbed Zach Ertz.
Strategy.
Despite having Jonnu Smith, despite having George Kittle, despite having Noah Gray. Does a man need 4 tight ends? You don't. But you know what, Big Show? For being a show researcher, for being so smart, you didn't look into the history of this league because stupid Deb tried this exact move last year where he got all the backup tight ends thinking he was going to outsmart me and I would be screwed. And I went on and I found Juwan Johnson. Now, Juwan Johnson is on my bench today for ceremonial reasons. But I got Chigakonkwo. And Chigakonkwo is going to lead me to victory, lead me to beat Big Show. He is going to lead me to the most obnoxious 2-time defending championship in the history of fantasy sports. Because if I do this, if I pull this up, if I defeat Big Show after he tries this malfeasance, this skullduggery, this,
Machiavellian.
this sneakiness. Yes.
The Chigler.
Big Show was almost in trouble yesterday with Drake May. He
Yes, he
left for a
was.
little bit, then he came back. So it was nice for him to have Drake May to just get something. Because it could have been real bad and it would have been over. But now I think it go down to the wire.
Yeah, it's close, and the projections have us close. But I'm just telling you, karmically, this happened to me last year, and now it happened to me again, where my opponent is taking advantage of an injury to my tight end and trying to scoop up all the available tight ends on the waiver wire. But it won't work, Big Show, because I beat you to Chigakonkwo.
Okay. we need to cap the gloating a little bit because Big Show in a Superflex league is starting Drake May and Cooper Rush as his 2 quarterbacks. It's very much a 2000 Ravens with Trent Dilfer type situation with this team. The rest of the team is very strong though. I'll be cheering for Bijan Robinson.
He got a monster game from Puka Nacua last night.
Yep.
Monster game from Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Ken Walker was out, although who knows what he would have done in that Chicago game. But I had to replace Ken Walker. I'm having to replace Njoku. I'm starting Amir Abdul in this dumb league.
I mean, you don't have to.
Do you understand? That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is with the League of Assholes. It's so deep.
To be fair, we don't want to hear you gloating, but you shouldn't be sorry for having Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels as your quarterback. I mean, that's.
I got it.
Good.
Well, there's a reason why I'm in the finals.
And he took Josh Allen.
What?
Yeah. You had the number 1 pick. You took Josh Allen.
Yeah. And I beat you guys to Jaden Daniels. You guys didn't believe.
True.
Well, it was him or Jonathan Taylor. I chose Jonathan Taylor. Swooped around. You get Jaden Daniels. Congrats.
Well, the
Thank
thing
you.
is, though, if you weren't doing a bit in the draft, then you'd taken Brock Bowers
I
over
know.
Taysom Hill
I know.
like you should have instead
fair.
of thinking it would be funny to take Taysom Hill because Denny Carter once sent you a 20-second
Nah,
video.
but he would have taken Brock Bowers though if like it was a really sure thing.
Yeah.
He'd have taken Brock Bowers.
That helped my team
I
a lot.
also had Njoku. I felt good about Njoku. That ended up paying off until obviously this week. But that's all right. My guy Chiggy. I'm going to get Chiggy with it. That's what I'm doing today. I'm getting Chiggy with it. I'm going to get Chiggy with it.
Is Big
That's
Show
right.
America's team?
No.
Yes, he is.
What say you, Lawrence?
I don't care.
Jay is absolutely rooting for Big Show. Lawrence doesn't care. Where are you at?
Well,
He won Big Show to win.
Yeah, Big
He
Show
won
beat me
Big Show
last
to-
week, so I got to root
You
for.
want to lose to the
If
champion.
you're already at like a 9 out of 10 with the volume. If you win back to back, like
It's
Like,
Respectful.
see,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Like-
If I was all of you should want me not to win this.
Exactly.
This would be
but
annoying.
see that type stuff, I do the same thing as you would do. So I don't. But also for Big Show, it's like, man, first year in the league, win. So I could see both sides of it. I just don't.
oh, what a politician!
It's
it's
what it is.
winning or him winning.
I'm
No,
just
listen,
saying, I like both sides of it.
as-
I would do what Matthew did if I was winning.
As I said earlier in the week, Big
Works.
Show is Will Smith and I Am Legend. He's the last man in this godforsaken wilderness who can take down the evil zombies. He's all we got left, Big Show.
I got to be honest, I was super nervous about it, but until I saw him try the same move that stupid Deb did last year.
the karma bus.
And then I felt like, you know what?
Fancy gods are gonna
Karmically, all right. We'll see how that works out. It's interesting. He's the show researcher, but didn't research what happened last year in the fantasy finals. It's interesting. Very interesting.
We want your questions throughout the show. #FF Pregame on X, Twitter, YouTube, wherever. Hit us. We'll help you with start, sit, or other questions as well. Let's get to our.
By the way, I saw stupid Deb on the way in. He's rooting for me.
Oh, really?
Just so you know, yeah, that's what he told me. And stupid
See?
Deb would never lie. He wouldn't lie.
See, he told me he was rooting for Big Show.
Yeah, he was lying to you. He told me, he goes, don't
Really?
tell George because I lied to him.
I'm hearing
Stupid
that's
Deb-
not true.
Oh,
I'm hearing that's
Stupid
not
Deb
true.
wants to. He wished me good luck, and he's like, yeah. If he had lost the league, he wants to have lost to the champion, much like you.
He's literally in our ear right now saying you're a liar.
No, it's not true.
And what did you say? Did you say thank you, stupid Dev?
No, I said thank you, Deb.
Okay.
No, he's only stupid Deb.
So
on
let's
air.
talk about some things that did happen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Our burning questions.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a segue there.
Here we go.
There we go. That's me losing in the
If I win
semifinals,
this
so-
championship, I want a Flavor Flav championship ring around my neck there.
Championship clock?
Yeah, championship clock or something.
That'd be very
big
fitting.
trophy, around like Olympic medal, something like that.
Do we have a trophy for the League Assholes?
We do. It's back there. That's
you,
it.
you got a
Right
trophy,
there.
you got a belt here.
Yeah.
Okay. The content cup.
Yeah.
dig it.
No, not the content cup. The one with the football on it. That's
Got
our.
it.
But anyway, we'll get to this.
Matthew's
You see
top
the one way
players,
back
we
there,
got the
all
four-
the way back there in the corner. The one with the football on it. That's the.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good television. We have 4-11 Jets at the 12-3 Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 10, over under 45.5. Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
Is he, week 17 for your championship matchup, still a must-start wide receiver?
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe he is. I'm at wide receiver 10, and you're like, whoa, wide receiver 10. Understand this. 12 teams have no longer played. What we do at Rotoworld, what we do at NBC News, NBC Sports, is we take out the players that have already played games. So Garrett Wilson didn't start the week as wide receiver 10, obviously, but Jamar Chase is out. All these guys have played already. Having said that, I still do think you start Garrett Wilson today. Devontae Adams isn't 100% healthy. The Bills have struggled since week 10. They allowed the most fantasy points and yards per game to wide receivers. Wide receivers that have seen at least 7 targets against the Bills, averaging 23.6. So much has been made that the next touchdown pass that Aaron Rodgers throws will be his 500th, and that wants to go to Devontae Adams. Well, the Bills read, the internet as well, and I think Adams is going to get a significant amount of attention, whether he catches number 500 or not. I do think Garrett Wilson, a little bit of squeaky wheel narrative too, because he's been chirping off as well. So I do think Wilson gets enough targets in a good matchup where the over-under is 45.5. I think you'll see some points scored here. So yes, I am starting. Must start is always tough, but yes, I can't imagine not starting Garrett Wilson today, that you have better options.
Well, think about this too, right? The Bills the last 3 weeks have allowed 358 passing yards per game their last 3 weeks. And those duos, I wouldn't put them over Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. So the Bills' defensive back end hasn't been able to cover anybody, and quarterbacks have attempted at least 30 passes against the Bills' defense in the past 3 games. So I like the Jets to definitely try to throw a lot this game.
Yeah, the weather isn't great in Buffalo. It's not so onerous, though. The total's still 44.5. Garrett Wilson set at 52.5 receiving yards on DraftKings. So I'd say that the median outcome for Wilson is 5 for 53 with some chance of a touchdown, which is fine, but then he's Garrett Wilson, and it's the upside to have a 100-yard day.
Yeah.
Let's move to our next game. A couple backup quarterbacks going head-to-head. Just like we thought week 17, it's going to be Cooper Rush, and then we got under center for the Eagles, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The backup bowl. No CeeDee Lamb either.
Good game.
Yeah. Good
So
game.
the over-under 37.5. Eagles still favored by 7.5.
Yeah.
How much are you downgrading A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith with Pickett as your starting quarterback for the Eagles?
Not that much. And I'll put it this way. I'm not downgrading it to the point where it matters. And by that I mean is that if you have A.J. Brown, you're starting him, right? So 91% of Kenny Pickett's targets last week went to either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. He had a 60% target share last week, Brown specifically. Dallas has given up at least 15 fantasy points to a wide receiver each of the past 5 games. I think Smith is much more dicey here, and it would depend on sort of your options here. But I would lean, given the low total and given, the Cowboys defense has played better, and I think Pickett will be shaky. I think it'll be okay. Full week of first-team reps. It's still a very good team, but I think it's going to be a Saquon-heavy offense, and so in a tiebreaker, I would go away from Devontae Smith today, but I'm definitely starting A.J. Brown. And on the Cowboys side, maybe Rico Dowdle's a flex.
Yep.
And you're just hoping he falls into the end zone.
Did I say that graphic right? You got Saquon RB2? Who's RB1?
Well, like no, the Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Saquon said 111.5 rushing yards. It's a lot of rushing yards.
Needs 162 to go over 2,000. One more quick thing about the Eagles receivers. That last game, Hurts had one completion to Devontae Smith for 11 yards. The rest of that, A.J. Brown had 15 targets. He caught 8 of those for 97 and a touchdown. Even Devontae Smith had 8 targets. So one thing's for certain, Kenny Pickett knows where to go with the ball. I think the difference will be about sustaining drives with your backup quarterback. So that's where the slight downgrade comes in.
All right.
No, I was just looking at that
close the
tweet.
loop
Like,
here?
no, they're just like they're like.
You had a thought bubble going.
Yeah, I had a brain fart there for a second. Like, wait, when
What Jay
asked me about my rankings.
When he
Well,
challenged
something
the
about
sanctity
rankings,
of your
and
rankings.
I had a brain fart. It's been a long week.
It's all right. It's a
so
little
yeah.
cold strike 3, Adam Wainwright to Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
12-6 go.
no, but like, I mean, I do think they. I think. Yeah, I mean, I have Gibbs over Barkley because it's, better game environment, better game script. I think
Much higher implied game total.
yes, that as well. I do think the Cowboys try to stack the box against Barkley. He was not effective against the Commanders last week when Pickett came in because the losing the threat of the RPO with Hurts does definitely makes it more difficult for him to find running lanes. Saquon Barkley.
Take that, Jay. That's
Yeah.
why it's 2, not
Okay.
1.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll take Saquon 1.
All right, that's fine.
This on YouTube. Need a CD replacement PPR league. Cooks, Coker, Zacchaeus, NWI, McLeod, all still available. Need a safe floor as Burrow and Henry had a
Gave good head start, is what I think
Okay.
Marcin means to say.
A lot
here.
of complicated names here between
Yeah.
Marcin's own name and
Yeah.
NWI, Zacchaeus.
Chodnowski.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got Brandon Cooks, Jalen Coker, Olamide Zacchaeus in the revenge game against his Falcons and Lauren Jackson's Atlanta Falcons. NWI, Ray McLeod also in that Falcons Commanders game.
Needs safe floor. Well, you're
So-
not going to get it.
Yeah,
because
I think. Go ahead.
I would be looking for the game with that because I was going to say Brandon Cooks. You look at that over-under, it's 37.5. Like, ooh, that's scary. But he is.
It's Coker.
I think it is
Yeah.
too. Cokeheads unite.
Yeah.
I do think it is. I think Jalen Coker, believe it or not, is the safest. None of these guys are safe floors. Like, let's be clear. I'm not going to try to talk you into Jalen Coker, but I do think that Adam Thielen's a little bit banged up. Xavier Leggette's banged up as we wait on their game statuses. It's a good matchup against Tampa Bay, so they're going to be throwing as well. Bryce Young has actually looked pretty good. He's averaging over 18 fantasy points per game since his bye, and so I do think Coker maybe has the best chance of being the focal point of a good a solid passing attack and a good matchup, I should say. Zacchaeus and McLeod are both in that game, but they're both like 4th or 5th options. Westbrook Akini is definitely not a safe floor. Like Cooks maybe, but you're going up against, like the Cowboys could get could be shut out in this game. Cooper Rush, because yes, Jalen Hurts is out, but the Eagles' defense is still fully healthy. Yeah. So it's really good. Yeah, I think it's Coker.
To our next matchup, and this is the lowest implied game total I think I've ever seen. The over/under is 33.
No, the lowest one was that Kendall Hinton
Oh,
quarterback.
yeah.
So the second lowest.
What that was about 26?
Yeah, it's only 26.
7-8
By the way,
Dolphins.
and the
3-12.
under cashed in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Broncos didn't cover in that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure they scored.
We got Snoop Huntley at quarterback. Dorian Thompson-Robinson for the Browns, reprising his role as the starting quarterback for the second week. Dolphins favored by a field goal. So can you start a single soul in this game? Jay Croucher.
Yes, you can. You can actually start multiple souls in this game. Devin Achane, feel fine about starting Devin Achane. I think he's going to get a decent amount of work. Jerome Ford, I think he could do much worse than just as a dump-off PPR merchant in this offense. And then after that, it's like Jonnu Smith, who Mike McDaniel continues to think is prime Antonio Gates. I think Jonnu Smith also is viable with no Jalen Waddle out, so the offense really should be pretty streamlined to Smith, Achane, and Tyreek Hill, who I wouldn't feel comfortable
I
starting.
mean, Jonnu Smith, one of Big Show's 8 billion tight ends that he has, but like in his 3 starts with Tyler Huntley under center, Jonnu Smith averaged over 11 fantasy points per game, had a 22% target share. So I agree with you there. Look, Achane was bad when Huntley started earlier, averaged under 9 fantasy points per game in those 2 full games with Huntley under center. I do think Huntley will be a little bit better. I think Achane is playing better. Huntley's been now in the system. Remember when he was basically signed off the couch and, suddenly was starting just because they just had no confidence in Skylar Thompson at all. So I think Huntley will be better. I don't think he'll be great, but I think he'll be better in terms of moving the offense. I don't know that you feel great about any of the other pass catchers, especially with Tirico a little bit banged up, but I agree with you on Jerome Ford, Jay. Last 2 weeks, he's averaging over 21 fantasy points per game, had 16 touches, 16% target share with DTR last week as well. So I'm with you that I think the running backs and Jonnu Smith are viable today in this Dolphins-Browns game.
It's going to look like an Army versus Navy game right
A little
here.
bit, yeah.
Well, and it's supposed to be raining, high winds.
Yeah, nasty Cleveland.
I mean, perfect storm for a 10-7 type dud. This from Drew. The question being, well, first off, a statement. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It is
birthday.
my
Everyone on
birthday.
the
Thank
desk.
you very much. Yeah.
Happy birthday, man.
I appreciate that.
Can we clap it
Thank
up?
you, guys.
Very young 59.
In a
I
half.
am not that.
In a half.
I am not that
59
old.
and a half.
But yeah, what better day? What better day to spend your birthday than with you animals and my Football Night in America family watching football all day and talking football all day. It's a pretty good gig. So I'm very happy that my birthday fell on Championship Sunday this week. So Drew wants to know, full point PPR, Garrett Wilson or Jerome Ford in the flex. So, by the way, thank you for the birthday wishes, Drew. Thank you very much. So Garrett Wilson or Jerome, I sort of feel like Ford has the better floor.
Yeah, I'd say if you want upside, I think Wilson has
Yes.
more upside because Wilson is more likely to go have a massive day, have 8 for 100 and a touchdown. But Ford, just with the receptions and with the goal line touchdown equity, the Browns may not get to the goal line, but if they don't, then I just think the dump-offs alone should get him to double-digit points.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. I do think that he's more of the floor play here, whereas Garrett Wilson's more of the upside play. But Jerome Ford has the better chances landing in the touchdown, landing in the end zone. Good Lord. So, listen, in my old age, start losing it.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
there
To
you
our
go,
last
thanks.
matchup, 8-7 Falcons. Michael Penix, Week 2, first NFL start on the road at Washington to face the Birthday Boys Commanders, who are 10-5. Washington favored by 3.5, over under 46. Rough Week 16 for Brian Robinson Jr. We're expecting big game. Had a couple fumbles. He's clocking in at 13 in your running back ranks. Is this a good matchup for him to bounce back, Matthew?
It's not a great matchup. I give credit to the Falcons. Last 4 weeks, they give up the 5th fewest fantasy points to running backs. They allow the 2nd fewest rushing yards per game to running backs. They've played really good run defense. They're the 2nd best run defense in the NFL over the last month. Having said that, I'm starting Brian Robinson. I like his chances to bounce back. Prior to last week, he was averaging 18 touches a game, over 14 fantasy points per game. They use him when they get in close. And I also think about the kind of coach that Dan Quinn is. Dan Quinn is a raw guy. He is a team guy. You saw last week in the Eagles game, Brian Robinson didn't fumble once. He fumbled twice, and they still went back to him. Like other coaches would be like, yeah, Brian, you sit down. And you saw some Jeremy McNichols and you saw some Chris Rodriguez, but in a game where the Commanders can clinch a playoff spot by defeating Lawrence Jackson's Atlanta Falcons, I think they do not want it to be Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. I think Brian Robinson gets a healthy workload today. I think he's got a good chance of getting in the end zone. I like Brian Robinson anytime touchdown as a bet tonight as well. So, yes, I do think he's startable.
I would like him if he could catch a couple of passes,
Yeah, I
too.
know.
Maybe 3 or 4 passes, because like you said, their run defense is more stout, but they've allowed the most receptions this year. That's 88, 2 running backs this season, but one running back has went over 60 yards rushing against the Falcons defense in the last 6 games, so it's going to be tough. But what won't be tough is them getting near the goal line. If they get near the goal line, then your best bet is definitely for Brian Robinson to get in the end zone.
Yeah. Surprised that this line is trending towards just 3. The plus 3.5's minus 118 at DraftKings. Not a lot of respect for Jaden Daniels, the presumptive offensive rookie of the year. Like, Michael Penix looked fine against the Giants, but he's played 1 game and it was against the Giants sub-NFL team.
But I think it's more than that. It's more than the quarterbacks. I don't think it's no question about the quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix, right? I think it's more so like the whole roster going up against, like, you look at Drake London and Darnell Mooney, you look at the Commanders with no Marshawn Lattimore, so it's a lot of things. We've seen the Commanders line on both sides get kind of handled the past couple of weeks. So
was sure Lattimore out's a bad thing? Well, I saw him out there getting roasted every
He's
time.
played by A.J. Brown. I mean
Benjamin St. Juice,
he
the
ain't great
juice,
either.
man.
Yeah.
Saberstall's pretty good.
BSJ,
We're going to have more on that game
moment.
in just a little bit. This from Carmen. Hashtag FF pregame. Championship game, half-point PPR. I need to start one of Love or Goff and one of Brian Robinson, Blackshear, or Dobbs.
I'm going to take the easy one first. It's Brian Robinson.
Yes.
I mean, anything's possible with Dobbs, especially Christian Watson's a little bit banged up. And, that I do think that game, that Green Bay-Minnesota game, could be a shootout. Could absolutely be a shootout.
Same.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love has a good game today. Like, again, because the shootout, like, he had a big game last week against the Vikings. Like, when they played the Vikings in week 4, Jordan Love had like 339 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also had like 3 picks. And the kind of game got crazy. Since that time, Jordan Love has not been great. Love's actually on my hate list this week because they've been more run heavy recently. Vikings blitz a lot. Jordan Love has struggled against the blitz. I'm going with, I get the question because Goff is on the road at San Francisco on Monday night, but I'm going with Jared Goff. He's too red hot, too many better weapons.
I think Jordan Love will have a good game here too, but Goff has been more consistent, just throwing the ball with the offense as a whole. Mm-hmm. We know what Green Bay's offense wants to do. The Lions offense can do whatever they want. So I would say Jared Goff as well here.
Also, the thing with Goff, the knock on Goff is always that he's not as good outdoors, which he isn't. But to be fair, he completely eviscerated the Bears outdoors, which didn't seem like much because the Bears defense has struggled so much. But then, like, Geno Smith scored 6 points against that defense. So I think that's a good sign as well for Jared Goff's hands.
And San Francisco's defense is playing better, but they're also they're really banged up. And some of the guys, like, I don't think Greenlaw is going to play Monday night. And so Goff is our answer. Carmen, good luck to you.
Shot for shot time. These are the predictions that we feel really confident in. We've already made a few, but let's get to the good stuff. Matthew, kick us off.
Let me find my Tampa Bay Buccaneers shot. I'm going to say 100 total yards and a touchdown for Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, a proud member of Live at Noon on the Cock, going up against Big Show there. Yeah. Well,
you didn't know your team name for a
Well,
second.
my fantasy basketball team is Live at 3 on the Cock because we're actually Live at 3 on the Cock this year.
Yes.
But I had to keep the team name from last year. Because
it's a good brand. Franchise.
Well, I know you can't change the team after you.
Say he got
You would have lost so many fans.
Live Noon Pacific.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want all the fans to have to get new T-shirts and new merch. Stop it. I'm fan friendly. All right. 100 total yards and touchdown for Bucky Irving today. Look, in his 4 healthy games, he's averaging over 20 touches a game, averaging over 135 yards from scrimmage, had 185 yards from scrimmage in the first match with Carolina. And oh, by the way, Rachaad White cost him the game last week. And so you hear some of the coaching, some of the interviews over the week and talking about how important ball security is. I don't think they want to give Rachaad White high leverage touches today. I think it's going to be a big Bucky Irving today against the Panthers. 100 total yards and a touchdown for Mr. Bucky.
Okay, my shot.
Yeah, I like this, Jay. Not often you see a 3-win team, Week 17, favored on the road.
Now listen, this is what betting's all about. Raiders, Saints, AOC, S. Rattler, Week 17. Saying the Las Vegas Raiders, they triumphantly screw their draft position and defeat the New Orleans Saints. They're minus 125 favorites. Did anyone watch the Saints against the Packers on Monday Night Football? I think they're the worst team in the league. Spencer Rattler is throwing NFL passes like he's Derek Jeter throwing a first base, jumping up there. To be fair, that was a sick throw.
That was his best pass of the game.
Yeah, the problem is the next pass was a pick. I just think that this quarterback matchup. Look, AOC's not great, but he's a competent NFL quarterback, and I think that he will get it done, and the Raiders will drop further down in the draft.
Worst quarterback matchup: Raiders, Saints, or Dolphins, Browns?
Dolphins, Browns. Because AOC is a lot better than DTR or Tyler Huntley.
Cooper Rush, Kenny Pickett ain't exactly like.
But they would rate them out.
They're the third. They're the best of those three matchups. But I mean, just think about the idea that a Dallas-Philadelphia game is not going to be in the 4 o'clock window. Like they moved it to 1 o'clock. That's crazy to think about. Eagles-Cowboys is a 1 o'clock game this year.
Yeah, why did they put the Dolphins and Browns in the 4 o'clock window?
It was a Sunday night game, and then it couldn't be backed all the way back to 1.
Exactly. And I think they thought that at the time that they moved it, they thought Tua would be playing and Tua would be, and the Miami would be alive in the playoffs, which they still are.
Tua
they still are. I mean, Miami's still alive in the playoffs. Like, they need to win this game. Dolphins do.
So much for that. We talked about Garrett Wilson a little earlier. I'll talk about him again. I got him going for at least 63 receiving yards. And if you want to play a safe, 60 receiving yards is plus 115 on the betting line. He only hit this number once in his last 6 games. However, Aaron Rodgers is averaging 37.5 passing attempts per game in his last 4 games with 295 passing yards per game in that span. Buffalo has allowed 235 receiving yards to just receivers alone in their last 3 games. So I like Garrett Wilson. He might not catch the 500th touchdown, but he'll get you 63 yards.
Okay. Precisely 11 over his receiving prop.
One of my favorite bits
that
Lawrence does is the specificity with his yardage props.
Yes,
much better
than Matthew's bit of explaining every segment.
One of Lawrence's other bits that I'm stealing, Lawrence Altline Jackson. I got Commanders, Falcons. Commanders favored by 3.5, and I'm going to butter up the birthday boy.
All right.
Your Commanders are going to smash the Falcons this week. I'd play it up to minus 9.5, plus 205. Penix is going to struggle on the road. The Commanders are going to win, clinch their playoff spot, get their 11th dub this year.
Take command.
That's right, Lawrence. Alt lines up to 9.5.
Yeah, see about that.
I
got something for that.
All right.
Finally get an ISO camera.
That'd be great. Look at you.
Let's get rid of that.
George,
All it took was you to down my Falcons to get the ISO cam on George.
Terrified. Creepy Santa. And then George, 1-2.
Back to me. And I'm going to say 15 or more fantasy points for Tajay Spears today. No Tony Pollard, should get all the work. And in the 6 career games where he's gotten at least 11 touches, that's not that much. 11 touches for Tajay Spears in this game against Jacksonville. Should be easy. In those career games, he's averaging over 15.5 fantasy points per game. So yes, Tajay Spears, big day coming for him against the Jaguars. At least 15 fantasy points without Tony Pollard.
Okay, my next one. Kenny Pickett, the K-Train.
The K-Train?
Ken Dog Millionaire. He goes over 180.5 passing yards against the Cowboys. See what the Commanders did last week, stacking the box. I think the Cowboys are going to do the same thing. I think Kenny Pickett is going to have to throw. Good thing is he has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to throw to. When you have those 2 receivers and you're in a dome against a team that struggles against deep passes, I think Kenny Pickett getting 181 passing yards very much on the cards.
I like that one.
What a feeble over. But I like it.
It's a low number for the K-Train.
That is what betting's all about. Yeah. Raiders, Kenny Pickett overs.
You wait for my third one.
Jay's really spotted the market inefficiency in properly setting the lines for Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
I tell you what betting is all about. It's about taking a guy who hasn't thrown for 3 touchdowns in a game since week 7. I'm taking him to throw 3 touchdowns and win. That's right. Jordan Love throws for 3 touchdowns and they win against the Vikings here. He hasn't done it since week 7, but he did do it against the Vikings in week 4 with 389 passing yards to go with that. You look at the Vikings in week 16, they just let up 3 touchdowns to 3 touchdown passes to Geno Smith, and you see what Geno Smith just did again. So I think with that over under being 48.5, I think it's a little back and forth, and Jordan Love racks it up today.
I'm buying that. And you remember
believe
who one of Jordan Love's touchdown passes went to week 4? Tucker Kraft. His line set at 35.5. I think he's going to have another touchdown this week. I think it's going to be a big Tucker Kraft week. I would say the over and play it on DraftKings. If it's 50 plus at plus 190, 60 plus is plus 300. When's the last time Tucker Kraft went over 60 receiving yards? Oh, last week. He had 63. So I think it's going to be another big Tucker Kraft game this week.
Nothing says happy birthday to me than a Tucker Kraft ladder bet.
Yep.
It's
It's
pretty
down
amazing.
and dirty for you, Matthew.
It is down and dirty.
Now that he's got this ISO cam, he's really kind of laying it
Yeah,
out.
exactly. I mean, it's
Fired
this
up.
is a bad development for the show. All right. So listen, Titans Jags. Everyone loves that. I'm going back to that game here. Other side of the ball for Brian Thomas Jr. I say he has another top 10 performance in him. He's averaging over 12 targets a game over his last 4 since week 11. 6 of the 7 wide receivers to see at least 8 targets against the Tennessee Titans score 15 or more fantasy points. Again, he's averaging 12 targets. So yeah, BTJ goes off today. Top 10 performance today for Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay, staying in the gutter in terms
Jag
of these
up.
matchups.
Jag up. I was holding my Titans, so there we go.
Okay, all right. Brown up. Cleveland Browns cover plus 3.5 on the game. Banished to the 4 p.m. slot between the Browns and the Dolphins. Now, a lot of people don't remember what it was like when Tyler Huntley was starting quarterback. I do. I lost money on Tyler Huntley and those Dolphins.
Yeah.
It was atrocious. They had no plan on offense whatsoever. Couldn't get the ball out. I think Myles Garrett wrecks this game, and the Browns, they stay within 3 in the game of the day.
It is really crazy thinking about Tyler Huntley, DTR, Joe Flacco's going to start, Cooper Rush is starting, just some of the quarterbacks that are going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it's
This is what we live for. But
This is
the good thing about
you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
The good thing about it is we got Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix to end it for the night. So that's the good thing. Speaking of Michael Penix, speaking of Michael Penix, he's
you got to bring that big Penix energy.
He gonna bring that big Penix energy.
Engage this week.
He gonna have. That's right.
People are gonna have Penix
You see what happened when Josh Allen got engaged? He started going off.
Yeah.
Michael Penix will have more passing yards tonight than Jaden Daniels, and the Falcons are gonna win. That's at plus 145.
Really?
Plus 145. That actually came down from plus 150. You know who your Commanders played the last 4 times? Kenny Pickett, Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner played some of that game. Will Levis, Cooper Rush is all right. This Michael Penix right here.
They also beat Joe Burrow.
Plus plus Drake London, plus Bijan Robinson, plus Darnell Mooney. I don't think the guys on the back end for the Commanders will be able to handle this. So I'm saying the Falcons go in there, they win the game. Bird up, baby.
I say the Commanders win.
Wow.
Dinner bet.
Straight up. I don't
Straight
even
up.
need
Straight
the
up.
points.
Let's give you the points.
Let's
There
go.
you go.
Straight up.
Yeah, straight up. Let's
Wait,
go.
you ain't give me
I'll take this action also.
Commander.
Let's go. This is really for you too, George.
Yeah.
9.5.
9.5.
I got
You
something
heard
for your
right,
birthday,
Lawrence.
boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Matthew gets
Bird down.
Yeah.
Bird down,
Nah,
I say.
You can't
Bird
say
down.
that now. You've already said bird up too many times.
I do love bird up. But yeah, bird down.
No. I give Matthew a lot of crap on this show, but he just got even money on a minus 190 money line for the Commanders. That's well played.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to that.
My last one shouldn't have a team on it, but I have the Dolphins.
All right.
America, you're going to be the big loser watching Dolphins-Browns if you happen to watch this game. The over-under is at 33. The Browns implied team total is at 14.5. Dolphins at 17.5. Connor brought this up Friday. In 5 DTR starts, he's never cleared 13 points, which is astounding.
Yeah. The
Bet
tank is on.
Bet the under. Just make some money. Bet the under.
Yeah.
I think the under is going to cash, and this is going to be a 14-10. 17-13 would be a shootout for this type of game that still gets you to 30 points. So I think the under is going to hit, and for some reason this has the Dolphins on it. So
The only man who can torpedo that is on the Browns sideline. But if he's 2 DTR picks from coming in, Jameis might wreak
Oh
havoc.
yeah, that's a good point. If they do throw Jameis in there. But we'll see.
defensive touchdowns are.
If Jameis
The
was
big X
playing, they'd
factor
be
on this
favored
one.
to win the game.
Yeah, they would be.
If you know, you know. Yeah, how about that?
is
Pablo Sanchez jersey for Baker Mayfield.
Let's go.
Representing.
All right. Right
On that
on,
note,
Baker.
we got more
Lawrence
fantasy
unimpressed.
football pregame.
I just
after the
like
break.
Baker. Yeah.
Malik Neighbors calling it a fresh arrival. He is good to go. Is battling a toe injury, but he is active and will be in your lineup for Week 17. Question for you, Jay, as the Giants are 2-13.
Yes, I'm here for all
At
Giants questions.
one point, they were 80-1 to win the division.
Okay.
Say hypothetically, you were holding a ticket for them to be NFC East champs, and they finished the year with 2 wins. Have you ever had a ticket to win a division in which the team has had 2 wins in the season?
I can't recall specifically, probably along the journey at some point. I actually had a ticket on the Dolphins to win their division as well. They're not going to do that either in the AFC East. But no, it hasn't gone great for the Giants. Now, to be fair, I thought I was getting 17 games of Daniel Jones, and I only got like 10 games of bad Daniel Jones, so that got screwed there. But no, it didn't really work out for the Giants. The good news is that they won't win the division next year either. They'll have a rookie quarterback
there you go.
and no offensive line.
But maybe they'll have Shadir Sanders. Maybe they'll, or Cam Ward.
On Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And I like them both, but like Jay said, looks like they won't be winning next year either.
For sure.
From Edward the Fool on YouTube, championship PPR pick 3, Neighbors, JMO, McMillan, Kendre Miller. My opponent, Nemesis, has Baker in a QB. I've lost
Gotta let 'em
Chuba,
know.
Kamara, Lamb, Taysom,
And
Chase Brown.
I think Kendre Miller is who you're benching for me.
The capitalization of Nemesis is though the
Yes.
name is actually Nemesis, like
be pretty good.
Mysterio, in the
Yeah.
Spider-Man comic or something.
Yeah.
Nemesis is Baker quarterback.
For me, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about, but that to me, I think Kendre Miller just didn't have great usage. We don't love the offense is just brutal. So Kendre Miller to me is who you would bench. Chastity 92.
You want to take it?
Sure. With Richardson out, should I start Flacco? Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Flacco. So that is who was he referring to.
Never forget.
Oh, never forget. With Richardson out, should I start Joe Flacco, Brian Robinson, Adam Thielen, or Amir Abdullah in the super flex spot? Flacco. You start at the quarterback.
Yeah, when in doubt, you go with the comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
Who's the close second?
Thielen. I actually think Thielen against the
over Brian Robinson.
A-Rob?
over Brian Robinson. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about how good that Falcons run. I think Thielen has a good game here against the Buccaneers. Like Thielen's been, Thielen's been pretty good, but I'm just saying, Flacco is
quarterback.
Start the quarterback. Start the quarterback. It's not a bad matchup for Joe Flacco against the Giants. It's actually a pretty good matchup. I actually think Flacco starting boosts Josh Downs, and potentially Pittman as well.
Giants also, as we've covered, comically bad against deep passes. What is Joe Flacco? He doesn't do a lot. What does he do, though? He unloads the cannon down the field.
Yeah, maybe you see some Alec Pierce.
Robert Marquez on YouTube, Neighbors or Garendo?
Ooh, Garendo.
Yeah, I think it's
banged
strange
up,
to say
banged
that,
up Lions defense. We saw him. He got all of the touches the last time he was out. I think there's no question that he'll be in line for 15 to 20 touches. Neighbors, you depending on the quarterback too.
Yeah, that's the issue, is that Garendo has more chance of a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbors, Neighbors should get peppered with enough targets. I think it's relatively close, but if you're looking for, and it's strange to say upside with Isaac Garendo, but I do think Isaac Garendo has the better chance of scoring a touchdown. He's still the lead running back for the San Francisco 49ers in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Skeptical, or you buying?
I think I would probably go with Neighbors here just because, again, the San Francisco 49ers running back thing has just been a pit. It just makes me nervous, and they're playing Detroit, who has a really good run defense. I'm worried game script could get out of hand. I don't know. I just,
Neighbors
we know Neighbors
up.
is playing.
Yeah, he's banged up though is the other issue. I mean, they're both kind of banged up.
Yeah, it's not ideal. That's why Robert's asked the question.
Make up your own mind, Robert.
Actually, I will say this, Robert. I don't think you're in, given the week that we are in and the situation that the NFL is in, I don't think you're in that bad a spot. If your last flex spot is basically Neighbors or Garendo, people are out here looking for Raheem Blackshear. They're in those kind of streets.
Who is starting
For the Carolina Panthers. Boone will be mixed in, but Blackshear seems to be the lead guy if you have to start a Panthers running back today. I'm gonna say Neighbors. My colleagues here say Garendo. Robert, who do you trust more?
With the weird thing on DraftKings, Boone has the higher line. He's at 36.5.
And Blackshear.
And Blackshear's at 29.5.
I mean, both them lines is.
Agreed, but it's surprising.
That's
Boone
them guessing.
It's pure guesswork at this point. You get guesswork protected by -115 each side.
Ramondre Stevenson wasn't supposed to start the other day, and he did.
And then
Matthew got very upset on Twitter about
I
that.
did get very upset on Twitter.
Who was you mad at though?
I was mad
at
Gerard Mayo, because I think he's in over his head as an NFL head coach.
Hasn't gone great.
He's in over his head. Because I don't care whether you start. I wasn't starting Ramondre Stevenson or Antonio Gibson against the Chargers. I don't care fantasy-wise. But you come out publicly and say, we're going to teach Ramondre Stevenson a lesson, and Antonio Gibson is going to start this game. And this was widely reported. He told it to the production team that did the broadcast. It was reported widely on Twitter by both, by Schefter and NFL Network and everyone. He told the same thing to everyone. Yeah. And so it got reported out there. Jeremy Fowler, blah, 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 blah. Mike Reese, who covers the Patriots, as closely as anyone. Mike Reese is fantastic. And then Ramondre Stevenson gets the very first touch. He's starting. And the point is that I don't care about the usage, but if you're going to try to teach a lesson, and Lawrence and Jay back me up on this one, right? Because you guys both have young children as well. If I'm trying to teach my kids, if I say to my daughters, you know what? No, you don't get dessert until you clean your room. And then I'm trying to teach them a lesson. But if while they're sitting there on the couch, while they're on their phone on TikTok, and they still haven't cleaned their room, and I just come over and bring them a bowl of ice cream, they have not learned their lesson. Other than the fact that the lesson they've learned is dad's a sucker. And so that's what Gerard Mayo did.
Ramondre Stevenson cleaned his room just right before kickoff. He might have cleaned his room, showed him a little fumbling drill. He showed him he could hold the ball.
No non-quarterback has more fumbles this year than Ramondre Stevenson. He didn't learn anything. Gerard Mayo should not be the head coach of that team. I'm sorry.
Well, they probably won't be.
Yeah. No, I think they're going to. I think they're going to stick with him. I don't think Kraft.
I think they should.
They definitely should not. But I don't think Kraft is going to want to admit the mistake.
Fair.
Yeah, I think
you
he
probably
gets
have to
another
price his
season.
favorite.
Head coach anger, Mayo, but it's still Kyle Shanahan, number one, with the whole CMC situation.
Yeah, but Shanahan's a good coach, though.
Shanahan's
No,
a
I'm
very
just saying
good coach.
anger over
outrageous.
misdirection when it comes to player availability.
but no, like I'm fine with Kyle Shanahan. I'll tell you why. Because karma has paid him a visit. That's what's happened.
Well, what's his karma? They already
Karma's a bitch.
Got pulled over by the karma bus.
Look at what the 49ers were Super Bowl favorites. The 49ers, a year removed from being in the Super Bowl, and they were NFC West favorites, and they were playoff contenders, and they were eliminated a week ago.
Yeah.
That's karma.
Yeah.
In a bad division, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even like in a great division where you're like, what are you going to do? Like, it's a bad division.
Yeah. God, they look good beating the Jets in week 1, though.
Yeah, they did. They look great beating the Jets in week 1.
I'm going to call myself out. I'm holding a Kyle Shanahan Coach of the Year ticket
Oh, I have
that
some
I
of
got
that.
week 2 at 29-1.
That's all right.
Not going to cash.
It's a good
this
bet
year.
at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what you can
that's
do?
not
You
gonna
can
cash.
light on fire and throw it in the pile of all of Jay's Giants to win the NFC East tickets.
Keeps me warm this time of year.
Jay's got more of them than you do.
To our waiver wire ads, normally players available in more than 50% of leagues. We've had so many guys already play leading into Sunday here, week 17. These are players available in more than 40% of leagues. The Raiders running back situation. You know, a lot of guys have already played, Matthew. If Alexander Madison is at running back 16 against the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, we're pretty far down the list. But I do think Alexander Madison and Amir Abdullah actually should have some success, I should say. They should have some success against a Saints defense that is 27th against the run over the last 4 weeks. By the way, Madison had 16 touches in week 16. Abdullah looked like the more effective running back to me of those two, and I might look to see him as well. Over the last 4 weeks, speaking of Tank Bigsby, Titans giving up 167 rushing yards per game to running back, so Tank Bigsby in a decent matchup there. And, you know, the Raiders have been bad against running backs. That's the argument for Kendre Miller, although there's not much.
The goddess of chaos is joining the show here on YouTube with some birthday wishes.
Thank you, goddess.
Yeah.
Of chaos.
Of chaos.
Made it to the finals.
Let's go.
Going against my big head nephew.
Yeah, boy.
What a
shot
across the bow here.
Well,
The
That's
nephew
why
was
she's
just
the goddess of chaos.
the nephew
Wreaks
just
chaos wherever she goes.
nephew peacefully going about his day, and now he's being called Big Head here on Fantasy Football Pregame. Flex open neighbors.
I'm not the
Shakir.
one being called Big Head.
No, it's his nephew.
The nephew is
Nephew.
Big Head.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said the nephew was
I thought you
peacefully
said
going
Matthew.
among
his day. Got it.
That's right. They sound similar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in my old age, my hearing is going away.
Get that hearing aid cranked up.
Malik
Neighbors,
Neighbors.
Shakir, Blackshear, Zacchaeus.
I get Shakir has kind of a high floor. You know what I mean? Like every week, but I just.
Does anyone have a high floor really though in the Bills passing offense?
No, I mean that's the
He
problem.
has the highest.
He's got the highest.
You get them
he
targets.
gets consistent targets, but I'm going with Malik Neighbors.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's the
mean?
Neighbors.
If he's active,
Go with the top player.
you just go with the best player there. Yeah, we agree.
Agreed.
So go beat your big head nephew.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Go do it.
Love the goddess
You know,
of chaos.
and what you say, goddess of chaos, is you say like, hey, on that big head, if I beat you, I want, I lost on that big old forehead of yours.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. There's a lot going on here. We've got someone called the Goddess of Chaos taking stray shots at her big head nephew, asking questions about Raheem Blackshear and Eliminates Zacchaeus to a guy wearing a pink Lamar Jackson for MVP shirt.
What a time! What a time in life, baby.
Yeah.
By the way, goddess of chaos. I'm pretty sure I dated a goddess of chaos. I wonder if it's the same one. Yeah.
Did
Dated a
y'all
couple
feel
of
the
those.
same way about each other?
Yeah.
Or was that only one night of the week?
Well, why don't we move on to the next question?
Barry don't want the smoke.
Suddenly, HR's ears perked up for a second, but now they can stand at bay
ain't
as we're
say
moving
that.
on to our wide receiver waiver ads. And Jalen Coker, 26th right now in the rankings at Tampa Bay. What are we feeling with Coker this week?
Cokeheads unite. Cokeheads rise up. It might be our week. Buccaneers ranked bottom 10 in yards and fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers. Thielen's active. So's Xavier Legette. So target share in Coker. He had the one big play, didn't do much last week, so it is a little bit risky. Certainly Jalen McMillan is the one you would want. If Jalen McMillan's available in your league, that's the guy you try to go out and get. 19 fantasy points over his last 3 games with a 20% target share in a good matchup against Carolina. But if you have to go further down the list, I prefer Coker to Wan'Dale Robinson, especially with Malik Neighbors out here as well. And again, the Packers, one Packers wide receiver will go off today. It's just how lucky do you feel? Is it going to be Dobbs or Reed, or watch it be Dontavian Wicks? Or Tucker Kraft in your ladder bet. Yeah, for sure.
Don't forget.
Never forget.
To our quarterback and tight end ranks, and we got a mix here. Aaron Rodgers, a resurgent Aaron Rodgers late in the season, is in your top 10. There's one name I really want to highlight, and if you're a really shrewd manager and you're in the championship, this is a guy you definitely want to stash. That's Zach Ertz at number 8. Make sure that a certain someone, a birthday boy, doesn't have him in his starting lineup.
I don't. I wish I did. At least a 20% target share in 4 of the past 5 completed games for Zach Ertz. It's a somewhat depleted passing attack for the Commanders as Diami Brown is out, Noah Brown as well. So just, there's not a lot going on there in Washington. So Ertz, I do think, has a decent game. He banged up his shoulder a couple of weeks ago, but he should be healthy now. But I'm going to tell you, that's fine. Because did you see Chigakonkwo on there? Chigakonkwo is going to get himself a ring today. That's what's going to happen. He's going to get himself a ring.
All right. Direct question to you, Maddie.
Yeah, it says, this is from Robert. Matty B, please help me here. I'm in a bind at flex one guy. Tank Bigsby, Chigakonkwo, Brandon Cooks, or insert Panthers backup running back. Notes, 0.25 points per carry PPR league. So you get points for carries, which suddenly, I think Bigsby. I think Bigsby, given that kind of scoring. I do like Okonkwo, as you've mentioned. Blackshear and Boone, I think Bigsby's your guy.
You get Tank Bigsby, you have 1 point in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I also like how Robert speaks as though he's in an Agatha Christie novel. I'm in a bind.
Right.
Help me.
Matty B!
Matty B!
On the double!
I'm in a bind here.
Hercule Poirot. Help me with my flex.
Just in case you're wondering.
I've got a query for you.
Please, come quick.
Good.
Riddle me this.
All right, Robert, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, I think we've hit our Raheem Blackshear quota for questions on fantasy football.
How many times we done said that name today? About 8?
The over-under was at 2.5, and the over is already cashed.
The best part is he sounds like a supporting character in the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Raheem Blackshear. Thanks to Leatherface.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's a pretty good name.
Yeah,
it is
Raheem
a great
Ride
Blackshear.
shotgun with Leather Daddy.
Oh, good old Lather Daddy.
Lather Daddy.
Bryce Young, 18.4 fantasy points in the 5 games since the bye week. Buccaneers allow the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Why I have confidence maybe in the Carolina pass catchers and Bryce Young. If you suddenly are without Tua, you're without Aaron, you can't get Aaron Rodgers. He's our favorite streamer, but if Rodgers is gone, I prefer Bryce Young to Flacco. Although Flacco I think is viable as well against the Giants. Prefer either of those guys to. I'm not starting Tyler Huntley. I'm not starting DTR. I'm not starting AOC or Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, super flex league, you still wouldn't touch those guys. Even if you had to start 3 quarterbacks, I think you'd shy away from those guys. Another person buying Bryce Young, Mr. Jay Croucher here in our desperation plays.
Yeah, pass funnel defense in Tampa Bay. Bryce Young coming off statistically the most efficient game of his career, I believe, in terms of EPA last week against the Cardinals. By the way, Cardinals defense that gave Matthew Stafford a lot of problems last night. No problems for Bryce Young last week. So, yeah, we've got some more Bryce Young stuff coming later in the show, but I think he is a viable streamer if you're desperate.
You see my long shot there is Olamide Zacchaeus. It's a revenge game for him. Lawrence, hashtag revenge game, former Atlanta Falcon, now Washington Commander great Olamide Zacchaeus. 22% target share for him, 5 for 70 on 2 touchdowns. Again, Diami Brown out, Noah Brown banged up. It's going to be opposite McLaurin. It's going to be Zacchaeus and Jamison Crowder in the slot. We've talked about this. Falcons have a very good run defense, but they have struggled more in the secondary, and so Zacchaeus is my desperation play today.
Yeah, for me, out of these Panthers receivers, I'm actually going to go with Xavier Legette. He had 8 targets in back-to-back games before being hurt. Remember, he almost saved the day and won the game for them against the Eagles. He played at least 87% of the snaps in 4 straight games before he got hurt. I think because he's part of the future, they'll get him right in there. Dallas receivers last week went 16 receptions, 221 yards, and a touchdown versus Tampa Bay last week.
So you might be wondering, because earlier in the show, I said the Commanders are going to smash the Falcons. So why would I have a Falcon here in my desperation play? They're going to be down so big that it's going to be a positive pass script in the second half for the Falcons. So throw in Ray McLeod, has gone above 90 yards 2 of the last 4 games, 90 yards receiving. So I do think as the Falcons are playing catch-up that Penix will be throwing it a lot second half of that. Prop and shot time. These all playable at DraftKings.
Yeah. Where the crown is yours. All right, let's go. Let's do this up.
Bang!
Oh, bang.
Todd him on.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Let's see it, birthday boy.
Tough luck, buddy. Next time.
You know what? I'm going to stand in the pocket this time.
Oh, wow. Deep shot.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
I'll sit in the pocket.
Raheem
from now
Blackshear.
Go
on.
behind creepy Santa.
Oh, my
Wow.
goodness.
It's very elaborate.
Lots going on here.
That
Oh,
didn't
well,
work.
at least one of us.
At least one of us hit it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, creepy Santa.
That's his name.
Let's all just be quiet after that.
Wasn't pretty.
Very happy
That
with
never happened.
Well, Jay hit his.
Yeah, good job.
I hit mine last week.
Well done.
Oh, wow. Week
I hit
16.
mine 2 weeks ago.
That's right. I can think about past glories on my birthday.
Yeah, I got
I like that you go for the for the hairline there. As you say, past glories.
Past glories. Back when I had hair.
Unbelievable. I made mine last week. I got married in 2018.
Yeah.
Also a good year for you. That was a good year for you.
Aaron Rodgers, passing yards, over under 220 and a half.
Going to go over 220 and a half. I think that there will be enough game script for the Jets to pass Devontae Adams playing. I think Garrett Wilson has the squeaky wheel aspect, and I don't think the Jets are going to be in position to run the ball too much.
Jalen McMillan, receiving yards. His number's at 41 and a half, Lawrence.
Yeah, this actually went up a couple yards. He's averaged 63.5 yards in his last 3 games. He's the wide receiver 2 now on this team. He's got at least 6 targets, 4 catches in that span. So he played a season high snaps, 83% last week. Give me the over.
Posed the question last week, how would Jonathan Taylor bounce back after that fumble? Bounce back in a massive way. Best game of the season, 2 Bills. So his rushing number this week for the Colts at 97.5, Matthew.
It's a big number, but I'm going to take the over, right? He's gone over this number each of the last 2 weeks, as you mentioned, and more importantly, the Giants have allowed 100 rushing yards to a running back 8 of their past 9 games. Without the threat of Anthony Richardson running, it's going to be all Jonathan Taylor, obviously with Joe Flacco under center. I think they control this game. JT has a big game. Give me over 97.5 rushing yards for Jonathan Taylor.
Speaking of revenge games, Aaron Jones, revenge game, round 2.
Yes.
Vikings, Packers, rushing and receiving. They got him at 89.5. Jay, you going over or under?
Going over in the revenge games, Packers defense, I still don't think it's as good a unit as it has shown statistically, at least. You know, beaten up on a lot of bad quarterbacks like Spencer Rattler last week. So I think that Aaron Jones going up against his old team will get to 90 scrimmage yards.
Sticking with Packers-Vikings, Lawrence, Sam Darnold, his completions are at 22.5.
This number went up too, and I'm still going to go over. He's hit this in 6 out of his last 8 games. And like I talked about it earlier with Jordan Love, this over-under 48.5, I think there's a back and forth here, so I easily see him going over here.
A guy who could have been on Matthew's team in the League of Assholes had he not been doing his bit. Brock Bowers, receptions at 6.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the under here, George. He may not get you 6 receptions, and you're playing in the 3rd place game? Yeah. Anyway, I'm taking under 6.5 receptions for Brock Bowers. Like, he's gone over this number literally 3 times. Only 3 times in the last 8. Now, he had the big game last week, I get it. But he's only gone over this number 3 in the last 8 games. And the Saints, one of the things they do well, there's not a lot of things that they do well, but one of them is they limit tight ends, right? They've only allowed 3 tight ends this entire season to go over this number. None in the last 4 games. So that's a lot of receptions. I think it's a big Jacoby Myers game. I think you'll see some running backs as well. Give me the under 6.5 receptions for Brock Bowers. Don't think he gets to 7.
It was a grave fantasy injustice that I lost a big show last week because I had Jalen Hurts get injured and put up 4 points.
And he was going to have a game, too.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you look at the matchups last week, as I quickly go to my phone.
Yeah, let's do that.
I still
remember
lost
remember
to
when I
Matthew,
made it
so.
last week? Is that what we're doing? I
was trying to come up with some ammo that I would have beaten you, but I still would have lost. I put up
violins on this
160 to 172.
Exactly. You would have lost. You would have lost to me. You did lose to Big Show. But maybe.
Regular season points champion. That's the banner that'll fly.
Hold on.
Listen, you let me know how it goes in third place for you and
You
Dad.
can hang out with the 2023 Ravens, who celebrate getting the 1 seed and losing to the Chiefs.
Yeah, there you go.
Or what was the Colts banner?
Yeah.
Quarterfinalist or something like that.
It's ridiculous. Super Bowls only.
Speaking of ridiculous, Tyreek Hill's longest reception is at 19 and a half. Seems like a low number here, Jay. Are you going to go over or under with Snoop Huntley at quarterback?
Where's Tyreek Hill going to get drafted next season? Like,
know.
what's going on with Tyreek Hill?
I
It's
don't
been
know,
a year
but I'm going to take him.
Yeah, well, he'll certainly have upside, but
lower.
it's been
You can check out my way too early top 50 rankings on Rotoworld.com, by
There
the
you go.
way. You see exactly where I have Tyreek
Yeah,
Hill
I was
ranked
just trying to
for next
segue that
year.
way.
But lower than I've ever had him ranked.
It's
for a while. I'll tell you that.
scary. It's always scary, even with how disappointing he's been. It's taken under on Tyreek Hill, but under 19 and a half longest reception. I will go that direction. The Browns struggled against deep passes. I just think this game is going to be toxic. I don't think there's going to be many explosive plays. I think that Myles Garrett and co will get pressure on Snoop Huntley, who has looked terrible, frankly, when he's been at under center for the Dolphins. So I'll reluctantly take the under on Tyreek.
James Cook, rushing yards, 65 and a half. He's gone over this number 3 of his last 4 games, Lawrence.
Yeah, but you know what? In 5 straight games, he's got under 15 carries. And in those games that he didn't have that number, he had 20 yards rushing. So it's about, can he break the long one? One running back has eclipsed this number against the Jets in the past 6 games. So their run defense has gotten better along the season, because we're talking about guys like Achane, Jonathan Taylor, James Conner. So I'm actually going to go under, because I think this is going to be about Josh Allen getting that trophy.
All right. Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jags, receiving yards at 79 and a half, Matthew.
And I'm going over. I mean, you heard my shot for shot. Obviously, I think Brian Thomas has a big game today. He's gone over this number in 3 straight games, 4 of the last 5, and Tennessee has allowed a wide receiver to go over this number in 4 of their last 6 games, including, by the way, Brian Thomas Jr. in Week 14. So, yeah, give me the over on 79.5 receiving yards for Brian Thomas Jr. today. I think he gets at least 80 once again against the Titans.
Matthew said Bucky Irving, 100 rushing yards plus.
100 yards from scrimmage is what I said.
100
Thanks
yards
for
from
watching
scrimmage.
the show. It's fine.
100
I mean,
yards
that's a
from
big
scrimmage.
difference.
Thank
Only
you,
not
yeah.
from
Yeah.
scrimmage. Not really going out on a limb,
Yeah.
given his line is 106 and a half.
What a bold shot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And a
take it.
touchdown.
Yeah.
And a touchdown.
Okay, so that gets you to a bit over even money. Yeah,
So-
I'll allow it.
DraftKings has it at 106 and a half. So Matthew's bold prediction was that he would go under this week. Wow.
But he had the touchdown.
But he threw
I
in
had
the
the
touchdown. So are you going to go under or over here, Jay?
You know, by the way, you may be just tuning in. You may just be tuning in and you're like, wonder what they're celebrating. It's my birthday. And these assholes, this is how I get treated on my birthday.
Yeah.
It's outrageous, I
That's
tell
what
you.
I'm saying, yeah. No, George even shaved for your birthday.
Yeah, thanks, George.
Or you
Thanks,
could
George.
have just played it off and said, like, yeah, I meant rushing yards.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
So Matthew has the under here. You have the under and the over.
Yeah, unlike Matthew, I actually believe Bucky Irving is going to have a good day today. I'm going to take the over on this one. Just couldn't draw up a better matchup. For a team as well that they're not going to take the foot off the accelerator. They need to win this game to stay in the vaunted race for the NFC South. So I think that even with Rashad Wright kind of lingering there, I think that Bucky Irving will go over 106.5 scrimmage yards. By the way, some steam in the market. People really loving the Raheem Blackshear over rushing yards.
Really?
Bumped up from 29.5 to 32.5. How
There
high
you
can it
go,
go?
there you go,
People
yeah.
smoking. Bijan
That's where the action is. Raheem Blackshear.
Bijan Robinson.
It actually makes sense, though, right? I mean, you always talk about variance in the market and just like chaos. You want to try to chase chaos, right? Because
Yeah.
just no one has any idea.
Yes, and in those type of situations, just generally, like the lines reflect the median outcome, given it's generally minus 110 each side. With that kind of situation, you more want to ride the variance of like Raheem Blackshear, 50 plus rushing yards. Doesn't take a lot for a starting running back on an NFL team to get 50 rushing yards. So,
Right.
Yeah, there is a lot of variance to be found these last 2 weeks.
And Mike Boone, big change, has dropped 1 yard to 35 and a half.
Wow.
So the market around Boone is collapsing. To Bijan Robinson, rushing yards. Lawrence, for your Falcons.
Let me tell you
85.5.
something. Let me tell you something funny about this one. Yesterday it was 80 and a half, right? And now that it's 85, Bijan has still hit this in 4 straight games. He still hit this in 7 out of his last 9 games. Like I said earlier, I don't think Matthew Berry's Commanders have the dudes to stop Bijan. I'm going over this.
Yeah.
And I feel great about it. Sometimes I don't feel great about things. I feel great about this.
Okay, good.
I'm going to tell you exactly. You know who we've got that's going to stop Bijan Robinson? Raheem Morris. That's what's going to happen.
So you're going to say Blackshear?
No. Raheem Morris. Here, Tyler Algier, take more carries than you want.
I'm not going to argue that. But if he doesn't stop him, damn it, he's going over 85 and a half.
I get that.
I will say, Matthew, you got a dude under center in Jaden Daniels.
Yes,
I finally concede the Jaden Daniels debate. Not really a debate.
Would you take May over Daniels? Over Caleb?
I might.
I would.
I would.
I'd take Caleb over Bo Nix pretty comfortably, but I would take May second.
Who would you take? Drake May or Caleb? It's actually makes you think.
Just based on what we've seen so far, Drake May. I mean, Caleb Williams taking a ton of sacks, and it's just like there's a bunch of data out there. Like it's not the offensive line's fault. Like he holds the ball way too long, and it doesn't feel like it does when you watch him. It doesn't feel like he's good unless he's off schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
he's not doing the simple things well.
It feels like he's a backyard quarterback. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't feel like he's playing within structure. Like the magic happens when he's off schedule. He's throwing he makes these ridiculous throws on the run on one arm, on one leg across his body, and you're like, whoa! But then you're just drop back and do a 3-step drop in like a 15-yard, and that doesn't seem to. Anyway,
so for this, I'm guessing the over. Jaden Daniels.
I'm taking over on Jaden Daniels. Passing and rushing yards, 27.5, right? He's gone over this number 3 of the last 4 games.
272.5.
Sorry, 272.5, even better. 272.5, I'm taking the over. This is combined passing and rushing yards. Falcons have allowed a quarterback to go over this number in 3 of their past 6 games as well. So, yes, give me the over for Jaden Daniels, 272.5. I'm all discombobulated. 272.5.
27.5. That would be an easy one to cash.
Yes, it would be.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app, use promo code Barry when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
The crowd is yours!
Josh Allen warming up, looking to add to his MVP campaign. How is this not Lamar when you look at the numbers?
Should be Lamar.
But it's still Josh
Depends on
Allen
what he does today.
What does he have to do today?
Oh, yeah. You going to get a Josh for MVP if Josh outplays him?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, we're Team Lamar here. This is the Lamar show.
Absolutely.
Always has been, always will be.
Oh, do you have a vested financial interest?
I do a little bit, George.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say.
I'm just invested in justice.
Well, Josh Allen is a fantasy life investor and the quarterback of my team against Big Show. So, yes, this is a Josh Allen show now.
You run like a wide receiver. I mean, you're legit. When did you know you were like fast or one of the fastest guys on the team?
I mean, growing up, I ran track, so I kind of always knew I was one of the fastest on the team. And then in college, you race, like, I used to race against the receivers at other schools. I used to race against Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, those type of guys. So it was always good competition, and you just trying to find a way to challenge yourself every time.
How did those races? I'm
faster than him. They can see this now. I'm faster.
He's faster than
I'm
you
faster
guys.
than Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas.
You got that? Both of you, just receivers. You're not the quarterback god over here. He's faster.
Bragging rights on the line between Lawrence and the birthday boy Barry tonight. Bijan and the Falcons take on Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. You'll see more of that interview starting tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern on NBC and Peacock. What do you got, Lawrence?
They acting like our quarterback is DTR in Atlanta. What's happening with that? Come on, man. Get your quarterback up there, man. 2 top 10 rookie
Bijan's
picks.
a pretty big star. Also, we also just need to clarify, Lawrence Jackson is an Atlanta Falcons fan. It's a little bit suspect, as he has in the past told me, word for word, that after the Super Bowl loss 28-3 to the Patriots, he slept like a baby. I said, not really.
Yeah,
And I will tonight. And I will
you're
tonight.
not really like,
Yeah. But today, I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthew would not
Today,
sleep
it's
like
good.
a baby after 28-3
Yeah, nah,
loss. He would
man,
cry like a
no,
baby.
I would
like
cry
a real
like
fan.
like a real fan, exactly.
Matthew's not going to sleep tonight if Penix on his second start goes into Washington.
It would be great.
And I'm doing happy hour tomorrow, too. It's going to.
I will legitimately be upset. If the Commanders lose tonight, I will legitimately be upset. Like it
It's
affects
going to be a
me.
wild card either way.
Well, I think I know, but yeah. I don't know.
Remember, Atlanta's they're the top of their division, and they have to win.
Right. By the way, we're still alive. Commanders still alive for the NFC East. If they win today,
true.
and
Triple Rush loses,
yeah.
it's possible.
So Matthew's birthday, if you don't already know it, and we got a special gift here from the crew, and who better to bring it on than our man Big Show.
Oh, Big Show.
Yeah.
Peace offering for this championship matchup.
wow.
Nemesis.
Wow.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Hope there's no bomb in that or something.
No,
Open it up.
Those
I'm
little
going to.
cartoons are from like the Adam West Batman.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like superhero boom. You know, you guys know I love superhero stuff. So that's awesome. So let's see what we got here. We got a
Sonic snapback.
Sonic
Let's see you put it
snapback.
on.
Is Knuckles on there too?
Oh yeah, no, it looks like just Sonic.
There's more to come.
It looks like just Sonic. Hang on for one
You're not
second.
going to wear your new hat?
Well, give me a second. It's got to snap it.
Yeah.
See what else we got here.
I know it's quite tricky to figure out a snapback.
Oh, there go Knuckles.
Oh, there we go.
So we got Matthews.
There we go.
There we
His
go.
favorite nickname
Here you go.
in the NFL. Sonic and Knuckles.
Happy birthday, Matthew.
Yes, thank you.
59 and a half has never looked so good.
People are going to believe I actually am 59 and a half. I am not.
That was
59 and a
Lawrence's
half.
school, not mine.
Please. It's hilarious. This is a little stiff too, by the way. There we go.
Gotta break it in.
Yeah, I got to exactly break it in.
Wear that on football night.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right into that. Yeah. There we
There
go.
we go. All right.
There we go.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
No.
Yes. Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Creepy Santa's not amusing.
Yeah, exactly. You're stuck with these animals. Poor Matthew. I know. I know Knuckles. I know, buddy.
I mean, Knuckles is like a
Very-
tough guy.
Very
you know.
strange.
Is that what he is?
Yeah, he's. Yeah.
What are you? In a consolation matchup.
exactly.
Take it out on Big Show.
Third place.
Terrifying. Matthew Berry wearing
say
makeup,
the least.
slapping George Savaricas.
Could this be rock bottom on fantasy football pregame? Still more to come.
Thank you,
with
guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Big Show. Thank you, everyone, for my beautiful
our very thoughtful
Sonic
gift
and
that we
Knuckles
gave you.
gift.
Always remember your 59th birthday.
Yeah,
Quarterback
exactly.
ranks. Jay, Aaron Rodgers at number 7 this week. Well, why is this going to be a good week against the Bills?
Well, the Bills, they don't have a very good pass defense, as we've seen, as quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff have lit them up. Even Drake May, to an extent, lit them up, moved the ball pretty easily. I just think that as 10-point dogs, that Rodgers is going to be in a throw script. This might be the second last game of Aaron Rodgers' career as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think he wants his 500th touchdown pass. I think he wants to end the season well, throwing to Devontae and Garrett Wilson. So Aaron Rodgers, QB7 for Matthew.
Yes, no, Aaron Rodgers plays in the NFL next year.
Say yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
for
he
who.
does. Yeah, I'm not sure for who either, but there's not enough good quarterbacks to go around. I mean, look at some of the people that are starting. Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't what he used to be, but he, clearly has a desire to still play and be in the spotlight. And
I would say, I don't think he's going to accept a backup role.
No.
I don't think there is going to be a team that wants to make him the starter. I would say the most likely outcome is that he waits until the new season and then someone gets injured and then he steps in as the starter. That would be my
Or if a team like draft, because at most it's probably going to be 2 rookie quarterbacks start week 1 at most, if that. Right, so maybe like a 2nd or 3rd round pick gets drafted. Aaron Rodgers goes to that team knowing he's the starter for that year. Possibly, a lot of scenarios could play out.
What teams? Like Browns or who?
Yeah, Browns.
That actually might be the only one that makes sense.
That's the first team that comes to mind.
Titans.
Browns. Let's go from Deshaun, Aaron.
Jameis.
I could see the Titans, and I could see the Raiders. After the Raiders win today, and they screw up their draft pick, so they're not going to get. Once again, they're not going to get a shot at Sanders or Cam Ward. So they pick a day 2 or day 3 guy, and so hey,
Tom Brady says, "Hey,
Tom
Aaron.
Brady, come play for me," which is a little bit of an ego thing.
Yeah.
That's right. You can come play for me.
Then he asked them to trade for Devontae Adams.
There you go. Adams comes back. It'd be amazing. Be amazing.
I think he's still got the house in Vegas, which would be pretty easy. All right, running back ranks now 1 through 10. And Jonathan Taylor last week went nuclear, so he is top 5 for you this week in your ranks, Matthew.
Yeah, we already talked about it earlier, but since week 10, Giants are tied for the most rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs. Jonathan Taylor should get a heavy workload in a great matchup, especially with Joe Flacco under center. Not a lot of threat at stealing goal line touches.
Another guy who's among the top 10, and we've hit on in the show earlier, Bucky Irving and the Panthers. And Lawrence, he's a guy who's carrying a lot of fantasy teams in the playoffs now.
Yeah, it's real simple. In his last 4 out of the 5 full games he's played, he's averaging 99.5 rushing yards in those games. You're going up against Carolina, who allows the most fantasy points per game to running backs this year.
Let's drop it down to 11 through 20. Aaron Jones just outside the top 10 at 11, Matthew.
In the first matchup against the Packers, he had 26 touches since week 13. Green Bay is bottom 12 in terms of most fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs. Aaron Jones is hyped. He's been getting a ton of work. It's a revenge game. This game is in Minnesota as well on the turf. Free Aaron Jones. These are the kind of things that happen when you free Aaron Jones.
Jay, is this going to be the week that Alexander Mattison gets the game ball in a winning Raiders effort?
I wouldn't expect he'll ever receive a game ball, but I do think that he's going to have game script on his side. As favourites, it's incredible to our point earlier that they are favourites against the Saints, but I think that is justified, and I think that Alexander Mattison has a good chance to fall into the end zone, so there's worse ways you can go with this.
We got a question here from Jorge Pena. Pick one in the flex, Ford, Madison, or Reed.
Jerome Ford for me.
Yes.
Like, again,
Ford.
just I think weirdly better environment. I mean, Madison we just talked about here, but I mean Ford could get 20 touches today in like a matchup that doesn't scare you. Miami's got a better run defense than you think, but again, just PPR merchant DTR, they just don't have much else.
Best chance of a touchdown, highest floor in terms of usage.
Yeah. Jerome Ford for us.
Ford too. Yep.
I dig it. 21 through 30, so if the game ball's not going to Alexander Mattison, maybe Amir Abdullah for the Raiders, maybe.
Well, if he gets me like 12 points today against Big Show, he's going to get a game ball from me. Back-to-back games with 19 or more fantasy points. He got 12 touches last week. He got a 16% target share, played 43% of the snaps. By the way, the Saints allowed the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs here. I thought to the eye test, I just thought he looked better than Alexander Mattison last week. Now, they don't want to use him between the tackles and have a massive workload here, but I do think the screen game and trying to use him as part of the passing attack, the offense has a level of competency with AOC under center. So, Amir Abdullah, I think, is flex viable today.
I'll go you one better than a game ball.
What's that?
A Peacocky.
A Peacocky. He might win a Peacocky.
Amir Abdullah.
Yeah. I might. That should be Stephen, make a note of this.
Stephen left.
Yeah.
Our producer, Stephen.
Producer Stephen, make a note of this. One of the Peacocky awards.
Imaginary friends.
One of the Peacocky awards should be best player that helped Matthew's fantasy team this year. And so Amir Abdullah might be a nominee. That'd be a good category. That'd be a good category that a lot of people I think will look forward to.
America wonders and waits.
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah. Yeah.
The answer. Josh Allen.
Jaden Daniels, come on. Bucky Irving, Mike Evans.
You should make an award for every player on your fantasy team.
I might do that. I just might do that.
Best quarterback
Yeah.
on Matthew's fantasy
Yeah.
team. Will it be Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels? Find
You don't
out.
know.
Yeah, find out on Tuesday.
Stuffed Knuckles dolls for everyone on the team. Sending it all. There we go.
The gift that keeps on giving.
He's back there.
Right behind Amir Abdullah Lawrence at 22, Kendre Miller. How many touches do you think he'll get this week?
I would expect him to do a little more. He got out snapped by Jordan Mills because they was getting beat down by the Packers. I don't expect that big of a gap today. Jordan Mills was used as the receiver, so I expect a little more. Kendre Miller did handle 53% of the carries, so if you're looking for that, looking for a closer game, he should be at least better than what he was.
Question on the tube from Frank Field, and you're not unique here, Frank. A lot of people dealing with the injury bug. His team decimated by injury, but trying to repeat as champ, just like Matthew Berry in the League of Assholes. Standard scoring, Blackshear, again mentioned. Kendre Miller, Waddle, and Chig pick 2.
Well, Waddle's out.
Waddle's out, yeah.
So
Don't
pick
pick
2
him.
of 3.
I'm going to say I think you want Chig, and then I think it's between the two running backs.
I think you want Kendre Miller.
Kendre Miller.
Yeah. It's just terrified of Mike Boone bearing down on you. You never want to go to war against Mike Boone.
It just in a championship game, at least you know some semblance of what you're getting with Kendre Miller and Chig Okonkwo. So Okonkwo and Kendre Miller, Frank, are our choices here. Yeah. Good luck.
Yes.
And DraftKings has Chig at 35.5 receiving yards, 3 yards more than Blackshear, who's at 32.5 rushing yards.
Chig also, a lot of variance. He's getting a lot of targets in that offense. So Chig, if Chig has 73 receiving, that wouldn't be shocking.
That's right. He's been great the last 2 weeks. Okonkwo has.
Question for you, Matthew.
Yes, sir.
We're
What
looking at
answer
our
for you?
Wide receiver ranks. We got Brian Thomas Jr. at number 4. Bigger upside going forward. BTJ or Malik Neighbors?
It's a toss-up.
And I'm talking career upside.
Yeah, career, and I it's a toss-up. If Brian Thomas Jr. is the best wide receiver in the NFL in 3 to 5 years, that would not shock me. Like he's that good. That that kind of speed, that kind of route running, his the way he just can pick the ball out, like his ball tracking skills, like he's special. That kid's special. Like I think Malik Neighbors is as well. So like it's a great debate to have.
Are you leaning BTJ with that sell job?
A little bit, maybe. I don't know. Malik Neighbors. It depends on who they get as quarterback. It all depends on the quarterback, right? Right now, I feel better about Trevor Lawrence than question mark for the New York Giants.
The poo-poo platter that the
Yeah,
Giants have had.
exactly. But by the way, there's a very good chance both guys end up having better careers than Marvin Harrison Jr. Either way, you're starting Brian Thomas Jr. against the Titans today. Since week 11, they're bottom 6 in terms of highest completion rate and most touchdowns allowed on deep passes. Obviously, BTJ gets a bunch of targets down the field. 40% target share the last time he played Tennessee. That was back in week 14. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have a monster game. Top 10 play for me. You'd hard my shot for shot.
Sandwich in between BTJ, Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown at 5. You're going Kenny Pickett over 180.5 passing yards. How many receiving yards is A.J. Brown going to have?
I think over 71.5, which is his line on DraftKings. People are concerned about A.J. Brown, saying, Kenny Pickett, quarterback. But look, Pickett only threw to 2 guys last week, basically. It was all A.J. Brown, all Devontae Smith. I think against this matchup against the Cowboys, who are so dependent on getting pressure, I think the Eagles' O-line will hold up fine and allow some deep connections to A.J. Brown.
Let's track our wide receivers now at 11 through 20. We touched on Adam Thielen, who's banged up but is playing, and that's a great matchup against the Bucs. That's why he's clocking in at 17, Matthew.
4 straight games with at least a 24% target share, George. Over that stretch, he's the 17th best wide receiver in fantasy football. You think about that first matchup when he went 8 for 99 and a touchdown. Tampa Bay, to your point about matchup, they allow the 3rd most yards to the slot this season. Thielen is the number 1 target for Bryce Young. We've talked about the improved passing attack of Carolina. And oh, by the way, we think Tampa Bay is going to be able to move the ball quite easily against Carolina. So they should be in throwing mode here, which is they should be in throwing mode. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I think Thielen is a nice play today, and also why I'm starting Jalen Coker. I have a choice against Big Show because Raheem Blackshear is available in our league. I just looked up, and I'm making the decision. I'm going with Jalen Coker. I go back and forth. Tampa is a good run defense here, but I could drop Coker and pick up Blackshear.
Maybe I'll pick him up right now.
Go ahead.
Big Show's making the move right now.
Big Show can make the move. if he
Big Show
wants.
used all his bench spots on
Yeah,
tight ends.
yeah,
so he
on
couldn't
all
hoard
tight
Exactly.
the Panthers' backfield.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. So, yeah, who cares?
So we got our wide receiver ranks here. One of my favorite J words, renaissance. I think that would be
Correctly
apropos
pronounced.
for Adam Thielen after the Vikings kicked him to the streets last year. Went over 1,000 yards for the Panthers. This year, since coming back from injury, he's been on quite the run.
Yeah, Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I was done with talking about Adam Thielen. What more do you want to know about Adam Thielen? No, he's getting a massive target share. It's a good matchup. Tampa Bay's bad against the slot. All the things I just said. I think Bryce Young is a viable streamer today as well. Buccaneers, it is worth noting, Tampa Bay is, over the past 4 weeks, they are a bottom 10 pass defense in terms of most passing yards allowed per game. Listen, Cooper Rush lit him up. Yeah. Cooper Rush lit him up. Bryce Young, a level of competency, and again, you sort of like that passing attack. Thielen, you mentioned Lawrence likes Xavier Legette, and I'm saying Cokeheads unite. Give me some Jalen Coker today.
Another guy, I'm guessing that you like, Lawrence, Juwan Jennings, when he's got Brock Purdy slinging it to him.
Yeah, not a great past couple of weeks, but now, like we mentioned earlier, banged up Lions defense. They just allowed 286 receiving yards to Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. So I expect the Niners, who are still being competitive, to get James the ball as their top receiver.
Question on YouTube, #FFPregame. A lot of birthday love for Matthew. Happy birthday, Matthew.
Thank you.
Another fantasy football player trying to repeat as league champs here, or fantasy football owner, because of you guys. PPR flex, Juwan Jennings or B-Rob Jr. Let's go.
I'm going Juwan Jennings. Again,
Yes,
let's go Oconculus. I like that. I like that.
Of course you would.
Yeah, sure. I think Juwan Jennings. Like, again, the Lions secondary is just so beat up here. I will say Brian Robinson Jr. I think has the better chance at a touchdown here, but I think in PPR, I feel like Jennings has the higher floor.
Yep, agreed there. And Juwan Jennings, he hasn't quite taken off perhaps as much as we would have liked since Brandon Ayuk went down, but he's still the guy who Brock Purdy looks for the most, who he has the best connection on the outside with.
21 through 30 now, wide receiver ranks. We got 10 more to go. Jalen McMillan at 23rd this week for the Bucs is there at home against the Panthers, Matthew.
He is. He's had a 20% target share over his last 3 games. We've talked about him averaging 9.6 yards per target over that stretch. That's top 12 among all wide receivers. So it's not dink and dunk stuff. They're throwing to him a lot, and they're throwing it to him down the field as well. And so going against a Carolina Panthers defense that, 24th scoring defense, McMillan, I think this is a big Mike Evans game today. But if you're down this far, if you're looking around, I do think McMillan seems to have carved out a role as the number 2 guy. No K. Dotton, remember, as well. So in that passing attack here.
Yeah, I think RotoPat had mentioned on Friday that Mike Evans needs to average 91 yards the last 2 games to get over 1,000 yards for the 11th consecutive season. So
yes,
should be a big couple weeks for Mike Evans. Pick 3. McMillan, Evans, A.J. Brown, Ford, Garendo, or Addison.
Yeah, I mean, listen, A.J. Brown's easy. Mike Evans is easy. I'm going to go with Jordan Addison. Again, we think that Packers-Vikings game is a shootout here. Alexander should be on Jefferson, so we expect probably maybe some more looks going to Addison shifted there. So that's where I would go. A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and Jordan Addison. By the way, breaking news into the desk. I just looked at our matchup. Big Show has replaced Cooper Rush with Joe Flacco. Starting lineup.
Why don't you should have blocked?
Comeback player of the year.
Well, I was busy doing a show.
Yeah.
So I should have actually. But
I love
comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco.
Yeah. Big Show distracts you with a gift.
Yes, meanwhile,
Look,
what are you
man,
gonna do?
Jaden Daniels just had 5 touchdowns against the Eagles. You saying Cooper Rush can't equal that?
Yes.
Cooper Rush is hot too, by the way.
Yeah.
Cooper Rush had a big game last week too.
That's fun.
That's
Joe, it's fine. I don't mind the move if I'm him. If I'm Big Show.
I don't mind the move if I'm you, because if I'm looking at Cooper Rush or Joe Flacco, I'm like, okay, I got Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's probably going to be Jonathan Taylor. There's probably going to be maybe there's a defensive touchdown.
Maybe.
Flacco may not need to throw a ton, or maybe he does. Maybe he just lights it up.
Flacco got better receivers to work with.
That's true.
So, Yeah.
This is true. I don't mind the move.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and you were absolutely right. Should have blocked him, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
okay.
because you know what? I'm sitting here giving advice to everyone, including my opponent. We talked up Flacco as a replacement. He went to the waiver wire and literally just got him.
You're always thinking of others.
Yeah, you know what? It's my giving on my birthday too. Exactly.
What a
All
guy.
right.
Tight end ranks 1
Yes,
through
sir.
10. I don't know if a conculus is going to become a thing. I hope not.
Actually,
you
like
don't
that.
mind it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better than some
Get
other things.
buy
I've been
from
said.
Jay. Come on. You're usually stingy
well,
when it comes to these nicknames.
One of the reasons why I am starting Chig Okonkwo in our title matchup here is the last 2 weeks he's gotten a 31% target share from Mason Rudolph. That is not a typo. 31% target share from Mason Rudolph. Rudolph is going to once again start for the Titans. Since week 10, it's a nice matchup here. Since week 10, Jaguars allowing the 7th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. So Okonkwo, who's getting a big target share with a competent-ish quarterback in a good matchup, I think is a viable streamer, obviously, this week.
With CD out, any impact for Jake Ferguson this week?
Jake Ferguson becomes the #1 guy in an NFL offense in terms of expected receiving yards. He's set at 42.5 on DraftKings. That's 8 yards higher than Brandon Cooks, the next highest Cowboy. So it's been not a great year for Jake Ferguson overall, but I think he's very viable to start today.
What a time to be a Cowboys fan, though.
Right.
What's Micah Parsons and don't worry about anything else.
42.5. From producer Steven.
Yeah.
Who you're cheering for to win the League of Assholes? Oh, how about this? Matthew Berry.
Let's go.
I mean,
an
this
upset.
actually
55%.
this pretty good for Big Show. Big
Yeah,
Show ain't
yeah.
got 1 million followers, so to get 45%, we grade on
And
the
the
curve.
show's named after Matthew.
And the
he's
show,
only
so to get 45%, we grade on the curve. That's like 98% for Big Show. If we being honest here.
Lawrence Jackson Analytics.
Come on,
Right there.
Big on analytics.
Beer Goggles pickup lines when we return. A little warm-up action here for Josh Downs, literally warming up by catching footballs while lying on the ground.
Well, that's the best place. That's where it's going to be with Flacco throwing him the ball. So there you go.
Wow. Shots fired of the comeback player.
Yeah.
I like it.
I just hope he can avoid sacks.
Well, if Joe Flacco leads Big Show to a victory over me, Jay, we'll all be forgiven.
No, absolutely not. No. Not unless Joe Flacco writes me a gigantic check, will all things ever be forgiven.
So it's no coming back from this. This is like 50 Cent Ja Rule type
Yeah,
deal.
exactly. No.
I don't think you guys have any idea how much money Jay lost on that. It was a significant amount.
Beer goggles time. For those unfamiliar with the bit, scale of 1 to 5 beers. What would it take for you to start these players?
Yeah. Because, when you're at a bar late at night, and you meet somebody that you might want to take home, but you're like, nah. But then later, as the night goes on, you've had a few. You're like, all right.
So they call those beer goggles.
They'll call those beer goggles. That's what it's called. And we're setting a bar, so that's the premise of this particular segment.
Is this something that happened in real life?
Many times. You've met my wife. You think she was sober when she met me? Stop it. Come on, please.
No, I don't.
Yeah, of course. Correct.
It's a two-way street. First game, Colts at Giants, and we just saw Josh Downs warming up. For you to start him, how many beers?
Just 1.5 beers, 1.5. I'm midway through my second one. I'm feeling good. Not really worried about it. Listen, in games from Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco this season, he's got a 29% target share. He's averaging over 16 fantasy points per game in those games. He's had at least 12 fantasy points in every single game he's played with comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. So, yeah, I'd fire him right up. No issues. Beer and a half. It's fine.
I like when you said 1.5 beers.
Yeah, 1.5 beers.
Bartender, I would like 1.5 beers.
1.5
Like a
beers.
beer and half a beer and
You got to start talking about betting like that. The spread is 1.5.
Michael Pittman, how many beers?
3.0 beers for Michael Pittman. Better with Joe Flacco, certainly much more passing volume expected in the offense. Thing is that Flacco really excels down the field. That's not as much Pittman's role, more Josh Downs. So Michael Pittman, a bit more flex viable with Flacco, but hopefully he can do better.
For the Giants, Tyrone Tracy, how many beers would you need?
Honestly, just 2 beers. Running back 17 last week, mainly because he got a lot of receiving work, caught 4 passes, 43 and a touchdown. He scored. The Colts have allowed a touchdown to a running back in 5 of their last 6 games.
Next game, the undisputed favorites, the Raiders, at the Saints.
Raider up.
You got Alexander Madison in your backfield. You need fill-in-the-blank beers to start him.
2.5. I'd want to be on my way to 3 beers and feeling pretty buzzed. Look, he's averaging 3.2 yards per carry this season, which is 27th among running backs in points per touch. Now, if you want to point to something that's positive, right? He led the backfield with 16 touches last week. He had a 19% target share, and it's the Saints. No team has allowed more rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs than the New Orleans Saints this year. So Madison, you're hoping he falls into the end zone. He should get a decent amount of work. So, he's like a touchdown dependent flex.
What say you, Jay, for Kendre Miller?
2.96 beers on Kendre Miller, rounded up to an even 3. Don't feel great about Kendre Miller in general, but he is the starting running back on a team that is in a game that is lined closely, so game script shouldn't get too far away from Kendre, and he's a chance to fall into the end zone.
Lawrence, what are the vibes around Jacoby Myers?
3 beers. He is the top receiver for the Raiders. At least 5 catches and 9 targets in 3 of his last 4 games. So you feel like in the middle about him. So 3 beers.
Titans at Jags, next matchup. Tajay Spears for the Titans.
Yeah, 1 beer. I mean, honestly, even stone cold sober. Once Tony Pollard got ruled out, right? He's had 6 career games with at least 11 touches, and he's averaging over 15 fantasy points per game. When he gets work, he produces. He's going to get work today against Jacksonville, who, by the way, has allowed the most receiving yards to opposing running backs. Obviously, Spears, a big part of that passing attack. For the non-Okonkwo looks there, Tajay Spears should get a decent amount of work today.
We got your guy, the Riddler. How many beers?
2 beers for the Riddler. Now, it hasn't been amazing for Calvin Ridley, aka the Riddler, this year, but he has had 10 straight games with over 40 receiving yards, which doesn't sound like much, but still, he has been much more consistent after that really dire first month of the season.
Yeah, Will Levis deflated numbers for Calvin Ridley. For Tank Bigsby in that Jags backfield, how many beers, Lawrence?
3 beers. You like him more than ETN, at least 50 yards and a touchdown in 2 out of his last 3 games, but he's still sharing the load with ETN, and the offense ain't good, so 3 beers.
The second best game of the week behind what you're going to see Sunday Night Football, Falcons Commanders, talking about the Packers and Vikings. For Jordan Love to start this week, how many beers?
Just 2 beers. Again, look, he made the hate list. It's last 4 weeks, Vikings allowing touchdown passes at the 3rd lowest rate. They blitz a lot. He's not been great against the blitz. He doesn't have a game with more than 25 pass attempts since week 9, right? Over that stretch, he's just QB 20. But if you want to leave the light on for some sort of positivity, it's what Lawrence mentioned. High game total. We expect a shootout here as well. He threw for over 300 yards, had a massive game against them in week 4. So I actually think Jordan Love made the hate list, so I'm slightly nervous about him. But I see the path to him having a big fantasy day. Wouldn't be surprising if he did light it all up. So I'd want 2 beers.
That's why you got that second beer.
Yeah,
You're
that's why I got
nervous.
the second beer. I'm a little nervous on Jordan Love.
Jaden Reed's been boomer bust, Jay.
Yes, 3 beers for Jaden Reed. Now, I think a lot of that bust has been because they've been in games where they just haven't needed to throw the ball, like they didn't really need to against the Saints last week. But against the Vikings, expecting a high-scoring game, back and forth, expect they will need to throw. So 3 beers for Jaden Reed. I think he does have a lot of upside. But if you're favored in your matchup and you need floor, then you probably want to go elsewhere.
For my guy, Tucker Kraft, how many beers would he need?
I think it's 3 beers for every Packers pass catcher. Look, the thing here is he leads the team in receiving touchdowns. He's the most likely Packers pass catcher to get a touchdown. So 3 beers for Tucker Kraft.
All right. Lawrence and Jay, that was 11 total beers. We got a minute to go for pickup lines now.
Oh, yeah.
DraftKings, Jay 12-6. Taken home Barry 11 times. Lawrence has taken home 7 times. Has fallen below 500 now.
Yeah.
8-10 with his bets cashing. So
You know what I'm going to do now that I'm below 500? I'm going to go out with a bang. Josh Allen parlay, 40 rushing yards, 175 passing yards, and a rushing touchdown. That's at plus 430. He's got at least 40 rushing yards 4 of his last 6 games. He's had a rushing touchdown in 5 consecutive games before last week. New York Jets allow the second most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks, but the least amount of passing TDs. So there you go. 40 rushing yards, 175 passing, and a rushing touchdown for Josh Allen, who needs that MVP, plus 430.
Okay, well, Lawrence is going with the MVP favorite to have a big game. I'm going with Bryce Young's longest rush, over 8.5 yards. He's gone over this 6 of the past 7. He dropped back 47 times when he played the Bucs. Last time they blitzed a ton. I think he's going to be dropping back, trailing. He's going to have to move around a bit, so Bryce Young over.
Bryce Young's actually been, they've gotten a lot of fantasy points out of his legs very quietly as well. I like both these. But you know what, Lawrence? I need a big game from Josh Allen to beat Big Show. So I'm riding with you. Much worse odds, but whatever. Let's go with a bang.
430.
Plus Money Jackson.
No worries.
Plus Money Jackson.
430. That's
plus
awesome.
Money Jackson. I do think that bet actually cashes.
It's definitely
that's the better.
cashing.
That's the better bet. But let's me and you ride with Josh with
Let's
17, the real MVP, as he tries to get an MVP. Come on, 17. I need you to beat Big Show. Let's go, Josh. Let's do that. We're back. I think soon.
This is pretty cool. Producer Steven telling me this is one of Matthew's high school classmates. Shout out to the birthday girl celebrating her 100th birthday.
Wow.
They had the same birthday.
Wow.
God.
Wow, that's
Dead body.
I mean,
Say my boy from class of 38.
Exactly. Come on.
Saw each other in the halls and celebrating your birthday.
Oh man. Damn.
Didn't
Shots
see that one
fired.
coming, did you?
Shots fired.
Right out of break as well. Hold me, Knuckles. Hold me, Knuckles. Hold my old body.
Make the bad people go away.
Your emotional support knuckles here.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might need it when Big Show's done with you in the League of Assholes.
Yeah, right? Oh man.
Touchdown parlay, money last week.
Yes,
we
we
cashed,
did.
so we are hot here on Fantasy Football Pregame. Here's what we got this week. Jay, kick us off.
Jonathan Taylor for me, after his massive game last week, Anthony Richardson being out, less likely to get vultured at the goal line by his quarterback.
I mean, you've heard me talk about Bucky Irving throughout the show. Obviously, positive game script here. I think Rashad White's fumble that was so brutal last week. If they get in close, they're giving it to Bucky Irving, and I do think they'll get in close multiple times against the Panthers.
The Bills want Josh Allen to win this MVP, and what's he going to do to get that? He's going to get a couple tush push. He might run another one in from 10 yards. I like Josh Allen to do his thing again.
The Jets taking off against the Packers. Going to be a shootout. He's going to get in the end zone. The odds for this, plus 805. Let's make it 2 weeks in a row, boys. You can bet that on DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. How is Lawrence the only guy over 500 in bar trivia?
It's been a tough year in bar trivia. I question the scoring as well.
A big show.
A big show. It's a lot of.
Lawrence has got to go.
He's got to go first. I'm down big. So
We got 2 minutes. Let's rip through
It
these.
is.
2-minute drill. Brees Hall, James Cook, more total yards.
Brees Hall.
James Cook.
James Cook.
More rushing yards. Alexander Madison or Kendre Miller?
Kendre Miller.
Alexander Madison.
Alexander Madison.
More receptions. Malik Neighbors or Josh Downs?
Malik Neighbors.
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs.
You're just going to go opposite whatever he said. More passing yards. Cooper Rush or Kenny Pickett?
Man. Kenny Pickett.
Cooper Rush.
I will also go Cooper Rush.
More receptions. Mike Evans or Adam Thielen?
Give me, man. Damn. Mike Evans.
Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen.
More fantasy points. Brian Thomas Jr. or Tajay Spears?
Brian Thomas.
Tajay Spears, easy.
Yeah, Tajay Spears.
More receiving yards for this game in Cleveland. Tyreek Hill or Jerry Jeudy?
Oh, man. Give me Tyreek Hill.
Judge Judy.
You really thought I was going DTR?
Tyreek Hill.
All right, we got to go quick these last three. More fantasy
all right.
points. Josh Jacobs or Justin Jefferson?
Josh Jacobs.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson.
More receptions. Drake London or Terry McLaurin?
Drake London.
Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin.
The final one. More passing yards. Brock Purdy or Jared Goff?
Brock Purdy.
Jared Goff.
Brock Purdy.
He's trying to beat me by 2. Yeah. It's the right play.
I got to go 4 and 8. Yeah. They got to go 8 and 4.
Exactly.
Let's bring it to the house. All right, birthday boy, you want to take us off the air? We got 15 seconds to go.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Thank you to everyone for all your birthday wishes on the show here and online as well. Go get yourself a win. For Lawrence, for Jay, for George, for Big Show, and Knuckles, I'm Matthew Berry. Good luck today. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.